Hey VC, how y'all doing? It's me, Roger, back with some records. I got some VCLT, totally unexpected, all the way from New Zealand, from Roddus, Uncle Rodney. Hey man, you really shouldn't have. He sent me this. I had no idea what it was, although it seemed like it might have been something that he'd shown in the past. Mate, Strange Dreams. This is New Zealand music out of Christchurch. This woman, Anita Clark, I guess, plays violin and loops and delays and sings a little bit, and then this other woman, Indira Force, does some synth and sonic percussion. Wow, thank you so much, man. This is a really beautiful record. I gotta say, between James Buttery and Roddus and New Zealand Music Month, I watch those guys and those videos about all these New Zealand records, and it's just like, it's great because that's like what the VC is really all about for me anyway, is to see these records that I'll never see, and then I think, well, gee, my channel is pretty banal, but then again, maybe I show things that you can't find in New Zealand. I don't know, but New Zealand's always been pretty special. I remember back in the 80s and 90s and Flying Nun, and those records were expensive then, and not very many were ever imported. And anyway, so this, I guess you can get it on Bandcamp and they'll ship it from New Zealand, but this is unobtainium here in the US, and I was just thinking, like, wow, those New Zealand records, wow, that's really amazing. And then for Roddus to send me one is really, really kind, and it's really, really nice. I really, really like it. Really hard to categorize. It's art rock, I guess. With the violin and stuff, it borders on maybe sort of a chamber music kind of vibe, but then the singing and the sort of subtle beats give it a pop feel in a good way. Really, really nice. I cost such a fortune to ship things all the way across the world, and so this was really unexpected. You made some comment on my Facebook post about maybe it'd be better if humans went extinct. Screw the Paris Agreement. Let's just burn all the coal and wipe ourselves out. Probably be best. Anyway, you made a comment about how, well, there's a record I want you to hear before it all goes to hell, and you meant you were going to send me a record all the way from New Zealand. That is really, really kind of you. I thank you so very much. And it's a beautiful record, really. I haven't played it for my wife yet, but she's going to love it. Speaking of New Zealand, some New Zealand music. I found these at Grimey's. I guess they're record store day things from this past record store day. The Pin Group, 7 inches, the reissues on Superior Viaduct, on colored vinyl and stuff. Didn't really know anything about these guys, except, you New Zealanders were talking about them and showing them, and I'm like, well, I'm going to pick them up. And it's cool, both from 1981. Don't think they ever made an album. And it's real, that 80s kind of jangly, velvety New Zealand indie rock sound that, I was listening to these and thinking, so many of those bands just had like a sound, and it's really hard to say in words what that sound is. It's kind of jangly, kind of garagey, kind of psychedelic, but kind of poppy too. This is great. You can't really see the cover on this, but these were cool to find. And they also had this, so I picked it up, the Raincoats. And now I'm not sure. I should have done some research here. I don't know if it's an EP, if it's titled We3, or if it's just the Raincoats and We3 is the label. I don't know. Sorry. But the Raincoats, all-girl band from the UK. This is in the early 80s. Great. This is good stuff. You know, I'll never find an original of this. Same thing with these. You know, good lord. I mean, even the New Zealanders were going for the Superior Viaduct reissues because, you know, paying a fortune for a 7-inch, and these were not cheap actually. You know, whatever. All right, cheers everybody. For those who care, I'm having a Sierra Nevada Nooner Pilsner. It's hot, and yeah, I like light, refreshing beers in the summertime. Cheers, everybody. All right. So as per usual, I'm going to show you a few new records I bought as brand new records. Start with this because some of you really should go pick this up. This is Tony Conrad, 10 Years Alive on the Infinite Plane. 2 LP set on Superior Viaduct. Again, has a nice, this is a die cut thing and nice printed inner sleeves, and there he is. So what this is a previously unreleased, I think live recording, yes, live recording, Tony Conrad with Rice Chatham and Laurie Spiegel. Interesting. Playing these homemade instruments of his making, and it's right around the time of that Faust record, and 2 LPs. It's similar to that Faust record. But Laurie Spiegel, who I know as an electronic musician, did some really pioneering stuff back in the 70s. And this was recorded, I think, in 1970, something like that. So she's playing this instrument that he made, you know, this kind of like a big, I didn't study the liner notes, but so it's kind of like that Faust thing where it's a pulse, but she's like deliberately not, it's irregular, and it goes on for, you know, 70 something minutes. It seems to get more regular as it goes on, but maybe your brain just gets used to, you know, the irregularity, and by the end it's like, yeah, this rocks. And so, and Rice Chatham's playing some other kind of guitar-ish kind of instrument, and Tony Conrad's playing violin, and yeah, fans of that, well, Tony Conrad definitely need this because it's previously unreleased. But that Faust collaboration in particular, I think this is another interesting collaboration from right around that time. That if you like that kind of minimal, droning, machine-like kind of sound, yeah, check that out. All right, from one extreme to another, I picked this up, the new London Grammar. Yeah, that first London Grammar record came out a long time ago, like back when I first started making these videos, and that's a long time, you know, between making a record. So I was really kind of looking forward to this, and this was a little bit disappointing in the sense that it's not any kind of movement from their first record. It's in fact, it's even more like stripped back, and I will say one thing, the first song, Rooting for You, really shows off her voice, and the melody and chorus and stuff encompasses 3-4 octaves. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy. But the rest of it left me kind of cold. I don't know. These guys are kind of rainy day music, and the sun was shining when I listened to it, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's me. This is one I did stream a little bit of before I bought it because I kind of didn't really like his last solo rock record and didn't want to be disappointed again. But I like this. This is Thurston Moore's Rock and Roll Consciousness on Ecstatic Peace, licensed to Caroline, so it's European. Well, he lives in London now, I guess. And it's got bassist from My Bloody Valentine, and Steve Shelley from Sonic Youth on drums, and guitarist, I can't remember his name, doing the Lee Ronaldo thing. And you know, this is good. I like it. You know, I was a huge Sonic Youth fan back in the day. Saw them a bunch of times, starting in like 86, 85, something like that. And so when they broke up, I was pretty bummed. And so this, yeah, it fills the gap. Comes with a download that has a bonus track. That's kind of cool. All right, that's it for new records. Not buying as much new records. Right, sure. Actually, never mind. That's for a future video. Vinyl Mania. Hey, it's harmless, right? All right, so now for the antiques, the used things, the collector's items, that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna start with this, which was kind of a grail for me. Been looking for this for a long time. Hatfield in the North, the Roddus Club. Original UK pressing on Virgin from 1975. Diana, digging the crate. Found this on that island. I forget where she went. Really great video where she's out on the beach showing records, and she's like, oh, she's back home, and she's like, oh, it's really noisy. And I'm thinking, well, you had it out on the beach, maybe. Just kidding. And she's like, oh, it's kind of noisy. And as a matter of fact, this looks mint. I mean, and I thoroughly cleaned it. Did my whole rigmarole with it, and it's a little noisy. I wonder if it's because the sides are a bit long, I guess, and it's really dynamic and whatever. I mean, it's a great record. Classic Canterbury, jazzy prog rock stuff. With, my friend Sam, the drummer, turned me on to these guys. He's a huge fan of Pit Pile, the drummer, and I think if you listen to Sam's drumming, you can kind of hear it. That kind of. And Richard Sinclair, who was like, and Dave Stewart, again, like just titans of the Canterbury scene. Great to have this in my collection. All right, some jazz, a lot of jazz actually. My local store right here in my little town. It's like catnip. I go by there every day. I can't not stop in, right? So this is a record that had been sitting there for a long time, and it was so cheap, and I thought, why not? Max Roach +4 Newport, 1958 Jazz Festival, stereo copy on Mercury. Now I had zero expectations of this record. It's like $3-4, something like that. But it looked in okay shape, dirty, but. I did notice that Ray Draper was playing tuba. Now that's always cool. I love tuba in jazz, but also with Art Davis on bass. So that's kind of interesting. But I'm looking at, it's like Night in Tunisia and Minor Mode and Love for Sale. And I was like, it's going to be pretty standardy. But yeah, so Ray Draper on tuba, Max Roach on drums, Booker Little on trumpet, and he's great too, and Art Davis on bass, and George Coleman on saxophone. This is killer. This blew me away, really. And I was not expecting anything but just like a straight-ahead jazz record. And it kind of is. It's 1958, but it's Max Roach. And so the arrangements are really interesting. You got that tuba going. You got great soloists like Booker Little and George Coleman. And it rocks. They rock the place. They, great. Really great, I mean, that's... In some ways, this is like what record collecting is all about for me. Is like, it's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and it's, this great music that I'm going to enjoy, for the rest of my days. I mean, a cup of coffee, I'm going to pee out an hour later, and that's it. All right. Here's this record I've seen a bunch of times around town. I don't know what the deal is. Saw it at the record show. They had 2 sealed copies, and they wanted like $20 for it. And I was like, I don't want to spend. I'd already spent too much money, so I passed. And then this other weird store, they had a sealed copy of it for half that. So I was like, okay, why not? Masahiko Sato with Peter Warren and Pierre Favre. Trinity, recorded live November 3rd, 1971 on Enya Records. This is a US copy, distributed by Audio Fidelity Enterprises. So yeah, as you can see here, Masahiko Sato on piano with ring modulator, which is really cool. Peter Warren on bass and Pierre Favre on drums, percussion. This is free jazz. 2 sidelong tracks, really good. Pressing, not so great. Noisy, edge warps, off center, all those things. Lawn fill, all those things. But the music's really good, and I didn't pay a lot for it. I'll listen to it again for sure. All right. Now this is a really weird record, and I meant to do a little research on this before I showed it and tried to talk about it, but I don't think anyone watching this video expects me to talk intelligently about any of these records. I tend to just go, yeah, I've done a record here. Right, come on. People seem to like my videos. Although I always get the dislikes. Keep it up, folks. I like the dislikes. I do. Alright, so this record is really strange. It looked strange. I did a little Googling before I bought it. It was used, but, like new. So here she is. Oh, here it is. Razul Uzlu. Razul Uzlu. Now that's a pseudonym for someone, and I knew it for a second, and then it went out of my brain. But Razul Uzlu, Lost and Found Adventures. This is out of the Netherlands. And apparently originally came out on cassette in 1992. And it's sort of bedroom electronics, I guess you'd call it. Kind of lo-fi, mono. And I think the original cassette had more music. This is, 45 minutes or so of that cassette. And wow, really interesting. I don't know if other folks in the VC know about this record. It's limited numbered. It's numbered on the inner sleeve, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's all over the place, but it's very electronic, very spacey, almost ambient, but not really. Too unsettled sounding to be ambient, and sometimes quite disconcerting, weird, and I've only listened to this once, but I'm kind of really looking forward to listening to it again because it was such a trip. Yeah, this was cool fun. Razul Uzlu, Lost and Found Adventures on I think this is a self-release. No, wait. It's on Mona Lisa from 2000. Yeah. Mona Lisa's out of Belgium. So interesting, interesting. Very interesting. All right, so I don't know if I showed this record. It's not going to be too much more. All right. I found this a while ago, and it was an upgrade of a really beat copy that I picked up even longer ago. I don't know if I showed it, but it's Harvey Mandel's Baby Batter, a U.S. copy on Janus. Really nice copy of this. This is from, 1971, maybe, something like that. And yeah, it took me a while to find a copy of this. I mean, sure, I could have gone online, but I like digging, and I like finding things like this. And not paying a huge amount of money for it, too. Yeah, so this is a big VC fave, which is why it's even on my radar. I know Mark, Dr. Redwax, who doesn't make videos anymore, really likes this guy and this record in particular. And I think this got sampled some. I'm not super into hip hop, so I don't know really. But so yeah, Harvey Mandel. So it's sort of jazz, funk, fusion, soul thing. He started out as a white boy blues guy out of Chicago and played with Michael Bloomfield and Mayhall and folks like that. So he's this hot shit guitarist. But this is not blues rock at all. This is much more funky fusion, a little wanky at times, but yeah, it's cool. So then, just recently, I find the rest of his Janus catalog, which I've like never seen before. So we have Shan Grenade. Oh, what a weird cover. Now, I'm going to take this out because this cover is just... Alright, so you have this giant hand grenade in this lovely valley. And then, you know, as the acid starts to take effect, you know, you got all these, like, people coming out of the ground, all these naked people, and... Wait, what did these guys do? Wait, what's going on over there? Alright, so yeah, this is, you know, more of the same. Funky fusion, hot shit guitar playing, a little wanky times, but, you know, I like it. It's pleasant. It's, you know, to my taste, I wouldn't, like, go out of my way and spend a lot of money to get these records, but I'm glad to have them. Oh, so here we have The Snake, you know, also on Janus, mid-70s, and then the last one he made for Janus, and actually the last record he made until the 90s, it was Feel the Sound of Harvey Mandel, another kind of bizarre cover. I like these, what can I say? You know, I felt quite fortunate to find them all sort of in a few days. And be like, okay, I'm gonna check, I have these, and you know, they're nice. If you can go for that kind of 70s, you know, 70s, it's so 70s, you know. I'm old enough to remember the 70s, you know, I was a kid, but I remember the 70s, and I remember the sound of the 70s coming out of my AM radio and stuff. Alright, just a couple more. Zawinul Dialects on Columbia from 1986. Joe Zawinul, obviously from Weather Report. And you know, it's funny, when I got back into record collecting big time, like one of the things I did was buy back all the Weather Report records that I'd sold, and then even get their catalog, you know, all the way up to the end, because they're cheap and plentiful, and you know, what a great band, you know, even at their worst, Weather Report was great. So, but this is one I skipped back in the day, and I found this still in the shrink wrap for around that price. Now you'll note it's still in the shrink wrap. I give Andreas Sonic Mainliner a hard time about shrink wrap, and you know, only because he gives himself a hard time about it. You know, I'm just joking around. But you know, when I see something like this that they've left it in the shrink wrap, now sometimes it means nothing. You know, it means they were too lazy to take the shrink wrap off. But sometimes, and in my mind, I think, okay, here's someone who cared enough about their record to, you know, try to preserve it. And you know, sometimes you pull a record out and it's like, well, they played it with a hammer and nail. But in this case, it was, yeah, probably never played. And so it has that hype sticker and the original price sticker on it, and you know, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna keep the shrink wrap on this one. You know, doesn't smell all musty like the records often do down here in the South. So yeah. Of course, I'm going to put in another sleeve because that shrink wrap needs support of its own, so it doesn't tear and compress. Yes, I am anal. All right, one more. All right, this is the kind of stuff that I used to see around a lot, less and less these days. This is a Blue Note comp for Stanley Turrentine. From 1970 something. But it comprises a bunch of tracks, not even in chronological order. Just sort of representative tracks from Stanley Turrentine from the 60s. And I bought it for two reasons. Well, three. Okay, but I guess number one reason is I've kind of decided if I see Blue Note records in the wild and they're reasonably priced, I'm just going to get it. The second thing is I didn't know anything about Stanley Turrentine. I mean, I knew who he was and maybe I'd heard some things, but I'd maybe probably kind of written him off as being just a straight-ahead, bluesy, you know, not really my thing, just a hard bopper. And he kind of is. I like the way it kind of sparkles in them. All right. And so I was like, and it was cheap. It was $5 or $6 for a double record in beautiful condition. And this is really good. It's really, really good. Some really great arrangements, some large ensembles, and great players. And and he's a great player. He's not just a blues shouter. He's tasteful. Really like this. So if you're looking for a taste of Stanley Turrentine, this is a great place to start. I'll be checking out his discography some more. All right, 25 minutes. I babbled, but thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, hope you're all doing well. I'll be back soon because I have more records to show. Of course I do. All right, take care. I'll see you soon.